Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. I'm Olakunle Kasumo. It's great to have you on the show once again. Our first guest today is a gentleman who has written a book for children titled The Lost Little Masquerade, Lolade Adewuyi. One of the things you'll quickly notice if you have had to try or if you have tried to get books for kids in Nigeria is there is not much content for Nigerian children. It's such a big problem. A lot of the books that our children read are foreign books, foreign content, foreign culture. And it's not like they're bad, but Nigerian children need to understand Nigerian stories, Nigerian culture, Nigerian history, Nigerian context. Very important. So we're very excited when we see, we're always excited when we see authors who write things like this. But let's get to know Lolade a bit more, and then we go into an interview we had with him when he joined us via Skype. Enjoy this.
Lolade Adewuyi is a German-based journalist and writer who holds BA and MA degrees in English Studies and Literature from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and the University of Lagos. Lolade's career as a sports journalist has seen him cover 3 FIFA World Cups and sporting events around the world. Lolade is the author of The Lost Little Masquerade, which explores the beautiful Eyo culture of Lagos, West Africa's most vibrant city in all of its glory.
Lolade, thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
How is Berlin? Must be very cold now.
Yes, we are in the middle of winter and it gets very cold. Sometimes you feel some rise in temperature and it gets comfortable, but we're managing.
Great, great. And how is COVID? I mean, Germany has been badly hit with COVID-19. It's all over the world anyway, but certainly some countries have been worse off than others.
Indeed, the second wave has been much tougher than the first time last year. So we're all trying to protect ourselves and protect other members of family and friends, you know. So we're in the second lockdown now and until February. Yes.
Great, great, great. It's great to know that. It's great to know that. And congratulations, The Lost Little Masquerade. This is your first published book. I know you've written for many years, published articles and so on, but I guess it's different when you have a book published, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. It is, interesting to have your own book, to have your name on it, your ideas go out into the world as a sole, a writer and a published writer. I've worked as a journalist for more than 16 years. Written countless number of articles in magazines in Nigeria and abroad. But, having your own book is really interesting and it's a new experience for me.
Great, fantastic, fantastic. Now, I like there are so many sides, so many angles, so many issues to consider when one looks at your book. But what inspired it? I have a very good guess, but I would like to hear from you. What inspired this particular book?
So The Lost Little Masquerade came about during the first lockdown last year, 2020. It started from me telling stories to my 6-year-old daughter about my life and things I've experienced. And because we told folk stories and then we ran out of folk stories and we couldn't go to the library to get new books. And so I had to start digging into life events. And she was always excited to hear something different, something new. So I then stumbled on this old story from covering the Ayo Festival in 2009. I was a correspondent based in Ghana and came to Lagos for a weekend, and it was taking place, and I covered it and ran into a little Ayo boy who was lost at the festival at Tafawa Balewa Square, and so this memory came back during the lockdown in April, and so I told my daughter the story, and we decided to then put it into writing and also get it illustrated into a children's book. The illustrations are made by my very good friend Abolo Eshubayo, who is a painter and sculptor. He's famous for making the Fela statue used to be at Allen roundabout, but now at Toyin in Ikeja.
Now, the backdrop of your book, of your story, is the Eyo Festival. Did you think, before writing this book, that there was a dearth of Nigerian content for children? Was that part of your motivation to use this kind of, backdrop for your story? Telling a child, a child reads your book and definitely learns a lot more about the Eyo Festival, which is an important, cultural thing in Yoruba history, not just Yoruba history, Nigerian history, as a whole. Was that your concern before you wrote this book? I've met a lot of parents who have said, where are Nigerian stories? Where are Nigerian books for children? There seems to be a dearth of such material.
Indeed, we go at least once a week to the library, to the local library here, and you have to see the depth of the collection that the libraries have. Every district and, micro district has a library, which is something positive. And also the books for children are so diverse, from Germany, from the UK, from the US, from Sweden, even Russia. And we never came across any Nigerian books or African stories. Children's books by African authors. So it was one of the things that, to keep my daughter grounded, we would tell stories, folk stories, sing folk songs, Yoruba songs, and, to ensure that even though we are living in a new country, in a different country, we are who we are. We have a heritage, we have a culture, and these stories are from home. And she's always loved these stories. So the Lost Little Masquerade came about as a way of also letting her know, okay, we can also make our stories into books, So it was really important that I put it down, and she loves it. She knows every word in the book, and as well as many other books that she's had to reread over and over, because we can't go into the libraries now, again, because the second lockdown is closed everything down. So the Lost Little Masquerade is a cultural experience, and I hope parents can engage it with their children, and especially Nigerian parents, African parents, see culture on a page, not just the fairy tale story, but the cultural story that shows our culture, and very colorful images, by Shobayo. So it's, for me, a packaged culture in a mini package.
You mentioned that you actually experienced this story. Yeah. So, by the way, perhaps you might use this question to get the viewer more familiar with the story of this book. You actually had an experience at the Eyo Festival that led to the story, that is in the Lost Little Masquerade, isn't it?
Yes, I was a correspondent for Tell magazine in the 2000s, early 2000s, yeah. And So I was a correspondent based in Ghana, Accra, Ghana. I was a country correspondent. So I came to Lagos during the weekend of the Ayo Festival in 2009. It was my first experience of the Ayo Festival. And while covering it, reporting and making images, I at the end of the celebration, when everything had, the crowd had come into the stands and were mingling with the Ayo and all, a little boy in his your attire walked up to me, and maybe because he saw that I had a camera and I could be a journalist and trusted, asked for my help, that he had missed his group, his family, and if I could help him find his brother. And so we walked around Tafawa Balewa Square looking for someone who could help him. And so I helped him find his brother. But so now, almost 12 years later, I've had to think back on it and write about it for children, and then look at the themes of trust, being lost. Children get lost, regularly, and how do they find their way back home to their family members, and also then cast the policewoman as the rescuer for this little boy, Taju, who gets lost at the Ayo Festival. His first Ayo Festival, he's 6 years old. He gets lost at the festival after the celebrations and needs to find his father and his group, So it's about finding ourselves in a place in the society, and who can we turn to. The police institution is really powerful, and so we brought in the policewoman to be the rescuer for Taju to find his father.
Simple story, but I noticed how you used that simple story to teach a lot of the aspects of the Ayo Festival. Can you mention a few parts of the Ayo Festival that you sneaked into the story? You dropped, words and terminologies, peculiar to the Ayo Festival here and there for the child. Maybe about three of them or so. Can you just drop a few of them?
Oh, yes. So children definitely learn about what the Okpambata is, which is the staff that Ayo carry, and then the hat, which is the wide-brimmed hat, usually in different colors to represent the different families and clans. They're called the Akete, It's really interesting how this culture is. You don't see. For me, one interesting thing that has emerged for me after this book came out is that some young friends have reached out to say, there's this friend who is in Canada, in Finland now, Coyote. He said he was in a Masquerade when he was a little boy, and his grandmother took him around that path to show him how to, because it's only for men really. So, but his grandmother showed him how to get there and how to come back home so that he wouldn't be lost. So this story has resonated with people who been masks themselves, and then but it should be able to resonate with young people, with children. How do I find my way if I ever get lost? Who do I turn to for help? So so many levels,
Yeah,
modernity and tradition.
Olade, thank you very much for joining us on Channels Book Club. We have to wrap things up right now. Thanks, and well done on your book, The Lost Little Masquerade. And we're looking forward to the sequel to this. We want to know what happened next. Thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you for having me.